Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, joining me as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all sorts of good stuff. And if you're speaking about all sorts of good stuff, you gotta be talking about Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
Dude, it's Terminator week.
That's
I'm
right.
excited.
And you're starting to don the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator beard.
You know, it's no shave November. I just wanted to get an early start.
You're getting an early start?
Yeah.
Dude, I can tell you right now, you already have more facial hair than I will have by the end of No Shave November. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. Also joining us here today, of course, it's Monday, so that means Chris Carr is here, ladies and gentlemen. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm great. I am still shaving though. I'm not participating with Robert. So.
And you know what the funny thing is? I would still lose. It doesn't matter. I would still lose.
You would. I'm an Italian woman. I can grow a beard so fast.
I'm an Italian man, and I can't. I'm a disappointment to my father in so many ways. All right. This isn't a therapy session. This is time for us to talk about our favorite things, guys. Movies and movies. A lot of things we got to talk about here today. Scorsese seems to maybe be backtracking on some of his comments. There's going to be a Pirates of the Caribbean reboot with the showrunner and creator of Chernobyl. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Joker is now the #1 R-rated film of all time as it continues to trek up the box office charts. The early tracking numbers for Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker are out. We'll talk about that in just a second. But before we get to all that stuff, let's talk about this. One of the movies that we've been talking about on a non-theatrical level has been the new Eddie Murphy film, My Name is Dolomite, which is now dropped and is online. I actually got together for dinner with Robert Meyer Burnett last night, and he reminded me, it's online now. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to cut this dinner short because I'm going to go home and watch it. And sure enough, I did, and I'll tell you what, it's everything I was hoping it would be. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, just so I don't, because I enjoyed it so much, I don't want to create a false expectation that this is not a top 5 movie of the year for me or anything like that. But if you're looking for Eddie Murphy to make a triumphant return, like an unto Caesar riding on his chariot into Rome, this is his chariot. And you could tell, like, from the first scene of the movie, the movie opens with him and Snoop Dogg having this, first of all, done. Sold. Right there. Opening scene of this movie, Eddie Murphy with Snoop Dogg. Heard enough. Signed the contract. Right from there, it sets the tone. I feel like, Rob, after that first scene, I fully understand this character.
Right.
Eddie, and that's not because it's a simplistic character. It's because Eddie Murphy and the script of it did it in such a way that in 2 minutes, I felt like I knew the heart of this character. Which is really great because then the rest of the movie, I spend discovering all the different other corners of the character and just get to enjoy his ride along the way. Now, of course, different characters come along. I really enjoyed Keegan-Michael Key in this movie a lot. The album covers were killing me.
They're all real.
I know. I mean, just the way they came about, it's like, we already got an idea. And then they model stand here right there in front of them. I thought this was a delightful film. I thought it was a fun film. I thought it had all the right energy. It never went over the top either. Like, I felt like it would push the limit, but always pulled back just before it went too a little bit over the top. And it is a wonderful example of peppering in, having the right balance to the film, great humor, every once in a while peppering in some real emotional serious. There's this great moment earlier in the film as Eddie Murphy's having like dinner in a diner with a bunch of his buddies, and they kind of make fun of him a little bit, but it really hits him about where he is in his life. And the scene follows him then outside, and it's just the dialogue he gives at that point. It's like, oh yeah, this is a dude's life. This isn't just some... It's a wonderful, great little movie, and I was really happy to see. Rob, you actually saw it before I did and turned me on to the fact that it was now online. What did you think about this film?
You know, it's despite the language and some of the sexual content, which I of course love, the movie is a delightful. It really is delightful, but it's very uplifting. You know, it's about a dreamer. It's about a man who wants to succeed in the entertainment business. It's a man who ends up after suffering some adversity, and he goes after his dream, and he succeeds. But it still has that scrappy underdog. We're going to make a movie even though we've never made a movie before. And one of the things, like I grew up when at the dawn of the home video era in the 80s, I watched a lot of blaxploitation movies. And the Dolomite films, Rudy Ray Moore, who made he made Dolomite, he made the sequel to Human Tornado, he made Disco Godfather. These were movies that I watched, and you get to see in the movie, they sort of combine Dolomite and the Human Tornado into one movie, but you get to see them shooting these scenes, and Wesley Snipes plays an actor who then directed the first movie, Dolomite. And it's hilarious. I mean, I was literally laughing out loud. And if you can go back and you can watch the actual movies or clips on YouTube, just watch the trailers and you'll see the scenes that they shot. I adored this movie. And like you, I don't know if it's one of the best movies of the year, but it's certainly one of the most heartfelt and fun movies of the year. This movie will put a smile on your face from beginning to end. Like you said, the opening scene with Snoop Dogg, all the way to, even the end of the movie. There's like a scene, Rudy Ray Moore, Eddie Murphy is E.T. to this kid who looks up to him, and there's just a moment of him bringing joy to the next generation. And man, I love this movie.
Question here is, guys, have you had a chance to see this new Eddie Murphy film? If so, what did you think? Did you like it as much as we did? More? Less? What did you think about it? Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down out of the way, let's now move on to our main topics of the day. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them by simply going over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Put the word topic in there, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Chris, we're now on to our first main topic. What is our first main topic today?
So our first question is from Patreon supporter Josh Pollard. So thanks, Josh.
Thank you for being a Patreon supporter.
So Joker became the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time on Friday, beating Deadpool 2. Over the weekend, it managed to top Maleficent, making it number 1 again, and bringing its total up to $849 million worldwide, beating Batman vs. Superman. Without even opening in China. This is absolute ludicrousy. Now, do you think it might hit $1 billion? I have been so optimistic and I feel validated. Do you think it's going to hit $1 billion though, John?
I still don't think it'll hit $1 billion. I mean, it's now done its 4th week. So it's made the vast majority of this money. It's going to be close. Now, I said before, I think this thing's got a shot at becoming the #1 R-rated film of all time. It could reach $1 billion, but I don't think it will. And I still don't think it will. But I mean, hey, listen, it's only about a little over $150 million away at this point. And it's become the #1 R-rated film of all time. And I love what they put there in that message, because this is a point that really needs to be emphasized. It did it without China, the second biggest movie market in the world. Not that I think it would have made a lot. Not that I think this particular movie would have made a lot of coin in China. Not one of the films that plays great in China. But still, the fact that it did it without the #2 market in the world, that can't be understated. I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal. Now, look, let's take a look here at the weekend box office. Joker, again, in its 4th week. #1 film at the box office, just edging out Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, with $18.9 million over Maleficent's $18.5. Addams Family continues to do very respectably with another $11.7 million. Zombieland double tap with $11.6, and Countdown, the new little horror film, did a nice little showing for itself, coming in at $9 million. Now, of course, where this puts us right now, in terms of all time, it's now 100% official. Joker has become the #1 R-rated box office film of all time, blowing past Deadpool and Deadpool 2. It's sitting now at $849 million, again, just shy of $850. Deadpool, of course, or Deadpool 2 at $785. The original Deadpool at $782. Matrix Reloaded, which has been hanging in there for a long time on this chart, at $742. And of course, the biggest horror film on this list, comes in at $700 million. Joker now sitting at $849. Blowing past a lot of other DC Universe movies. Not that Joker's in the DC Cinematic Universe at all. But, Rob, I mean, a lot of us felt that this movie was going to be successful. we thought, you got this filmmaker with this actor, with this beloved character, probably not going to make $800 million. But it's going to be successful. And especially if they take kind of that, they said very early on, King of Comedy, Taxi Driver, if they take that sort of approach, a really different kind of movie, it can be successful. Rob, I don't think anybody, not at Warner Brothers, not Todd Phillips, not Joaquin Phoenix, I don't think anybody saw this type of success. And again, the thing that really puts an exclamation mark on this is that this is a dollar figure without the help of China, which I think some people may overlook, but I think it's radically important to this. Rob, you see these numbers coming in. What do you make of it?
Well, like I was saying, it's become a zeitgeist movie. I mean, it really has something to say about culture. You're talking about the one percenters. You're talking about rising healthcare costs, people not being able to afford. I mean, this movie, while it is about, of course, a Batman villain, let's not forget that it still is in the Batman universe. It really has a lot to say, I think, about a lot of people's lives, not just about mental illness, but just their lives in general. I mean, the scene where his therapist says we have to discontinue therapy and they're not covering your expenses anymore, that could be half of the United States. And I really think that this movie spoke to people in a way that was not anticipated. And another thing that can't be forgotten, I was reading up on this, the movie cost just over $60 million to make, and they said they spent $100 million in marketing.
Incredible.
And so you're looking at, you got $161 million spend, and we've talked about on the show, you really need like 3 times that before a movie's in profit. This movie is monstrously profitable. It is hugely profitable, and it's making, I mean, to have a movie like this, what it says is that, wow, you don't have to spend $150 or $200 million to make a comic book film that is going to connect with audiences, that is effects heavy. And I think it really says something about the marketplace. I mean, studios, if they're going to survive in the world of streaming, they have to pull back and spend less money on movies. Mm-hmm. And if you could have a studio making 5 movies like this a year, making this kind of money, and I'm not saying, look, I know it's a Batman movie. It's not like any movie that costs $61 million is going to make this kind of money. But it's something studios should look at in terms of an ongoing business model if they're going to survive during, well, in the streaming wars, where Netflix isn't beholden to box office. So it's really interesting. I think it has a lot to say for the industry, a lot to say for comic book movies moving forward, and just a lot to say about what kind of movies audiences are looking to see.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be pointed out that Joker is a movie that lends itself to being able, you can't make Avengers Endgame for $60 million,
no.
right?
Yeah.
We all understand that. But in a world where they made District 9 for what was it, $40 million? Yeah. I'm sorry, you don't need $280 million to make a big visual effect. I mean, they've got to start getting their spending in line, but that's another issue altogether.
Yeah.
Chris, you saw these results. You have been joyously optimistic this whole time through. What are you making of this result?
I will get the last laugh on this. I really think it's going to make it. I really, really do. Because we also on the show have talked about how, this isn't a film you're probably going to go back and see in theaters. A lot of my friends have gone back and seen it a second time because it is such an intense film and they want to see it again and see what they missed and really digest the film and be able to talk about it because so many things are going on. This, like we've been saying, is a great film for comic book fans. It's a great movie for just people in general. People are really, really gravitating towards this film. And whether or not they have a really positive reaction to it or a negative reaction, because some people have been kind of iffy about it, people are talking about it and people want to go see the film and they're going back to see it, which blew me away. I thought it was going to do well. I didn't think it was going to get repeat business and repeat views from folks this early on. But I believe. I think it's going to hit it.
Well, it still needs about $150 million. Mm-hmm. Has no more markets to open in. It made $18 million this weekend, which means next weekend will probably be, especially with some bigger films like a Terminator opening up. Yeah. That's not going to be huge, but I think you're looking at Joker making $9 or $10 million next weekend. Can it make up $150 million still with the worldwide? It's going to be close. It's going to be close. It may do it. I'm still going to lean towards no. Chris, you're still leaning towards yes.
Heck yeah.
Rob, where are you leaning
optimist.
towards?
I would say no, but with this movie, I have no.
It's defying so many expectations on so many levels already. We're going to have to keep our eyes on it. Guys, question is, what do you think about that? Now that it is officially the #1 R-rated film of all time, box office wise, Do you think there are still enough people, there's still enough momentum out there that people are going to go out to see it for it to get that extra $150 million and cross that $1 billion mark? What do you think about that? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's move on to our second main topic today. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This is from Greg Offman. Did you see that they're projecting The Rise of Skywalker to open as high as 225 million opening weekend? So much for that Star Wars is dead nonsense. Anyway, would a number like that fall somewhere into where you thought it would open, or is it higher or lower than your expectations? John, how did you feel this was going to open?
Well, okay, let's make something very clear here, okay? Right now, Box Office Pro, they are projecting, their early projections is saying that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker could open anywhere between 190 and 225. So that 225 is the top end. Now, it could go beyond that. Sometimes Box Office Pro is conservative and sometimes the number goes beyond that. Yes, but I'm just saying, let's keep in mind that that 225 number is their ceiling right now, where they say it could open up. It could open as low as 190. So you got to keep that in mind, all right? So just keep that in mind for now. The next thing that's interesting here is that if it opens somewhere in the middle, like let's say it opens to 205, it would technically be the lowest of the 3 new Star Wars films. The first Star Wars, a new Star Wars film, Star Wars The Force Awakens, opened to almost 250 million. I believe the last shot opened to 208. No, 220. 220 is what it opened at. So if it comes in the mid-range of that 190 to 225, it would open as the lowest of the new films. Still ridiculously good. But yeah, there you have it. Now, here's another interesting thing. If Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker opens to over 208, because right now Jurassic World is the number 5 all-time opening weekend at $208 million. If Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker opens above that, it would be in the top 5 all-time opening weekends in history. If it comes in at the top end, it could even get the number 4 spot. Now, again, it's important to keep in mind that 225 million number, that's the top end of their estimate. It could come in higher. It could come in lower. So just keep that in mind right now. Rob, I'll tell you what, I was not expecting, and I'll say this, I'm still not expecting Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker to break 200 million opening weekend. It's going to be massive. It's going to be huge. It's going to make oodles and oodles of money. It's going to make all the monies. They're going to be very, very happy over at Disney. But I still don't think it'll crack 200 million. So I'm expecting it to come in on the lower end of that. Now, of course, this is all without hearing any word of mouth on the film. I mean, if people go in to see this and all the early audiences are saying, it's amazing. Okay, then maybe we're looking at it.
Could you do that again?
It's amazing. I was about to say something, but I'm filtering myself today. So, I mean, if that happens, then yeah, it could very well exceed that 225 number. If it's okay, then it could come in right around the 190 number. If it's, well, then it could come in as low as like 170. But even at 170, you're talking about a top 10 all-time opening Star Wars film in history. I'm still not quite expecting it to crack the top 200. But then again, let's see what happens when word of mouth starts floating around. Rob, you're hearing these early tracking numbers coming out of Box Office Pro. Is this roughly where you think it was going to come in? If not, do you think it's a little bit high? Do you think it's a little bit low? Do you think it can crack that top 5 all-time opening weekends? What do you think?
I don't even like J.J. Abrams as a filmmaker. And The Last Jedi for me was a mixed bag. But I'm excited for this movie. I mean, like, you know, I don't care what anybody says. It's like a James Bond movie. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. I love James Bond movies. This is a Star Wars movie. I'm excited. I want to see it. Palpatine's coming back. Lando's back. Lando and Chewie are in the cockpit of the Falcon. I'm like, I don't care. You know what? It's a Star Wars movie, and I know that at least for 2 hours, I will sit there in enjoyment. Now, 5 minutes after it's over, I'm going to start picking it apart and be disappointed, I'm sure. But until then, I am excited. I think the world is excited. I think people, any crying fanboys that are still butthurt over whatever they're butthurt over, and I'm one of them. I'm still my ass is still hurting from some of the things that happened in Force Awakens and Last Jedi, but I'm excited. We're all going. I think this movie's going to be huge. It's opening on December 20th. People are back home from college. People are out of school. They're waiting for Santa Claus to show up. They're excited, and Santa's coming early in the form of a galaxy far, far away. I think this movie's going to be huge.
But do you think it's going to crack top 5?
Yes.
You do think
100%. It's going to. I don't think it's going to do Force Awakens business. I bet. I'm willing to place a bet. It's going to outgross Last Jedi's opening.
Okay, so you're thinking it's going to come in over 220.
Yeah, because it's got Sheev in it, man. Everyone's going to pop up to see Sheev Palpatine wreck shop. I mean, that's all I care about. And you know what? If I had my way, he'd kill all of the new characters. Lando and Chewie and R2 and 3PO would walk away with Force Ghost Luke, Force Ghost Anakin, Force Ghost Ben, Force Ghost Yoda, Force Ghost Qui-Gon, and they'd go off into the sunset. And everybody else, Rey, Ben, Solo, Poe Dameron, they'd all be dead.
Oh, they're great characters.
And Chief Palpatine would be like, hey, the galaxy's mine. End of story. Cut to black. Wouldn't that be great?
No.
What a cliffhanger.
Papa Palpatine can't win.
Palpatine deserves to win. That's why he's back. You know why he's in movie 9? Because he's the only one smart enough to figure out, hey, it's 200 Star Destroyers. Look at me, man. I'm back.
So I actually made that the topic of today's question of the day. I wanted to ask the audience this. What do you guys think about where this is going to fall? And I simply asked you the simple question. With the early tracking numbers, and they're about 190 to 225, do you think Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker will be one of the top 5 biggest opening weekends of all time? Number 5 currently is Jurassic World at 208 million. I put this up just before the show started. About almost 1,400 of you guys have voted. Right now, I'm surprised by this. 75% of you guys are saying, yes, it will crack that top 5. 25% of you, I'm kind of tucked into that 25%, think it'll be huge, but no, it will not crack the top 5. I'm going to leave this poll up for the next about 24 hours. If you guys want to go over there on my Twitter, go on over there and register your vote now. And guys, for those of you watching the show, what do you think? Do you think that this Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, is going to crack that top 5 opening weekend? Do you think it's going to come in a little bit lower, a little bit higher? What do you think? Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to our third main topic today. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
Third topic is from Josh. Scorsese talked to Entertainment Weekly. While not walking back on comparing Marvel films to amusement parks, he instead said that going to an amusement park is a good thing, and that the films are a new art form of cinematic expression. He claims they're different. That's all. He says he fears small films losing audiences to these ones. I get that. But why not express that fear in a different way? Why not correct his cohort who called them despicable? Why not indeed, you guys?
Yeah, it seems, look, Marty Scorsese, I think this is the first time he's, in his career maybe, taking a lot of public heat. Now, he's taken some heat over controversy over his films, but I think this is the first time he's taken kind of heat just over saying something. Now, then again, he's a little before my time, so maybe it's happened earlier on in the days, but there was some grumbling over Taxi Driver. There's some grumbling over some of his films, so I'm sure, and it does kind of sound like maybe he's backtracking on the things he's saying. This is the specific comment he made. This was to Entertainment Tonight. He said, well, look, the point is, in terms of this film, Netflix, theaters, what I'm talking about really are films that are made, let's say, a family wants to go to an amusement park. That's a good thing, you know? And at themes and parks, there's these cinematic expressions. They're a new art form. It's something different from the films that are shown normally in theaters. That's all. Now, first of all, let me say, that isn't what you were saying before. That is not what you were saying before. But I think this is the right thing to say now. I think this is the right thing to say now. Because now you're saying it's a new cinematic art form. Okay. But that's still cinematic art. So you are saying it's still cinema, right? The other thing I would still want to remind Marty is that the movie theaters don't decide how many people go see films. Movie theaters put out movies, and they hope everybody goes to see all of them because that's how they make their money. They want the big films to do well. They want the tiny little films to do well Because the more all the films do well, the more money they make. It is the audience that decides what they want to go see. It is the audience that determines what they're going to spend their money on. And that's something he's got to keep in mind. Rob, I look at this, and I very clearly believe this is Marty Scorsese walking back a little bit on his statements. And I'll tell you what, I applaud him for it. You know, he could be stubborn. He could be stubborn, just dig in his heels, say, no, I'm Marty Scorsese. F all of you. I'm going to... He could do that if he wanted to, because he is Marty Scorsese. He can say and do whatever he wants. I think this is probably the appropriate thing for him to say at this point. And I think this is probably, you know, I'll bet you this will be the last word we hear on it. I think after saying this will be the last word we hear on it, I don't think we're going to hear him comment on this sort of thing again in the future. But I don't know. That's where I'm at. What did you think of his statement?
You know, I watched a clip from The Irishman today, like a 2-minute clip of Al Pacino talking to a guy, Jimmy Hoffa, in Miami. They're in a meeting and this guy comes late. And I'm watching the scene, it's like 2.5 minutes. I'm like, that was one of the best scenes I've seen all year. And it's in a clip they're showing on The Irishman. Martin Scorsese is one of my heroes. I mean, he really is. He's an amazing filmmaker. Why he said anything against Marvel movies in the first place was lame to me. I'm like, dude, give me a break. You love genre cinema. You made Boxcar Bertha for Roger Corman. I mean, seriously, brah. I mean, what are you saying? And this whole thing has been ludicrous. What he had and another Coppola, what they've been saying is just dumb. And I understand he's probably taking a lot of slack. He's got The Irishman coming out that he's promoting the hell out of. It was most expensive. I don't know if it was more expensive than Hugo, but it's a big movie.
And unfortunately now, instead of talking about The Irishman, he's got everybody talking about this, which is not what anybody
so
wants.
Lame. And The Irishman looks to be like this monumental achievement, a real career capper for him. I still think it's going to win Best Picture at the Oscars. And yet we're talking about this. I mean, Marvel movies are like Westerns. They're like cop thrillers. They're like lawyer movies. They're like genre films that have been made for the last 100 years of cinema. Romantic comedies. I mean, they're genre movies. They're fantasy films. They're great fun. And to have this conversation about they're not cinema, it's like, really? You know, well, it's not like a shadow play with somebody's puppets or fingers. I mean, it is cinema, and to say it's not is ludicrous. And this whole conversation makes me want to scoop my eyeballs out with a teaspoon, really, and it's dumb.
Well, what do you think about the new comment then? Like,
I think the new comment was lamely walking back, like you said. It was lame going to themes and going to parks. And what did he say? Like, it was so.
It's a new cinematic art form.
Yeah. It's what new cinematic art form? It's not. It's the culmination of 100 years of the old cinematic art form being used in a way they couldn't do it 20 years ago. And it's just like they couldn't de-age people 20 years ago the way they did for The Irishman. I mean, what he's saying is wrong, and I know he is, like you said, he's just walking back his comments.
But isn't that what we like for people who took it? Look, his first comment when he just said it's not really cinema, it's this. I took no offense to that because to some degree I thought I got what he was saying.
I did
to
too.
A degree, right?
I did too.
So, but then he pushed it further and isn't this though what we would want him to say at this point? Like he said all that other stuff. Yes, he's walking it back, but isn't that kind of what we would like him to do at this point?
See, I want him to just flat out say, look, it's as valid as any other form of genre cinema that I grew up loving. It's the same thing. I mean, yeah, it's not Tarkovsky, it's not Bergman, it's not Francois Truffaut, it's not Kurosawa. It's different. But, you know,
but if that's not what he actually thinks, like at least he's putting it in a much nicer way now. Like I've never had a problem with any, look, you hate comic book movies? You hate comic book movies, nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But there's a way you can state it and be classy, and there's a way you can state it and be a dick.
Exactly.
And I feel like this new statement he put out is him going, you know what? I am Martin Scorsese. I am the gold standard. I should hold myself to a higher level than that. It's not my place to come out here and rag on the art that other filmmakers are making, just like I was breaking new ground when I was younger, doing films that probably a lot of people looked at me sideways for. And you know what? They're still not for me, so I'll put it differently. I respect that. I do. I mean, personally, Chris, you know, this is a guy who's infuriated you, yucking all over your
he's
yum,
yucked
as you
all
put.
of my yum.
What do you think about the new statement?
If you don't have something nice to say, shut your goddamn mouth. I mean, this whole
Well,
statement.
there goes half of my show.
Is it too crude if I make a jacking off gesture? Because that's how I feel about this whole statement. Is just it's nonsense. It's such a walk back. And while I'm glad he's changing his tune a little bit because he has been saying stuff that no one asked him to say, and you're so entitled to your opinion. Everyone's got them. You're very entitled to it. But he's just said everything in such a rude way that's completely unwarranted that this right now seems like a little too late. And honestly, I don't care how he feels about films. Again, Shark Tale, don't care about you. And if he wants to keep making the same movie that he does very, very well, I mean, I can do a paint by numbers too. That's fine. I just feel like if you are going to talk trash about films in this day and age, when you're doing a streaming film, when you are trying a new medium of distributing your film, maybe stop talking poorly about everyone else out there who's doing it successfully, whether or not you like that kind of movie, you know? And Andy Warhol is still art. Even though it's the same tomato soup can over and over again, it's still art and it's still in a museum. You don't get to decide what cinema is. You're not that kind of like great. You don't get to be a god who decides what is film and what isn't. And that's been my huge issue with all of this. And also, like, Francis Ford Coppola obviously has said the meaner things in this situation. And I'm interested to see if he takes those statements back. I'm sure he won't. But this all just feels like a whole bunch of lip service that I'm super, super over.
You know, something else I wanted to point out. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has given directors like James Gunn, the Russo brothers, the two directors from Captain Marvel, they've given people that wouldn't normally get an opportunity to play in a franchise sandbox and use that kind of budget and allow them to do so. And that alone is something both Coppola and Scorsese should respect.
Yeah.
In that the Marvel Cinematic Universe tapped somebody like James Gunn to make Guardians of the Galaxy, which is uniquely James Gunn. And the Winter Soldier, I mean, the Russo brothers, they had made, I think, what is it, Welcome to Collingswood? Wasn't that the film? Maybe not. It wasn't. They did a movie like that. They were never going to get to direct a franchise picture like this until Kevin Feige tapped them to do so. And as directors themselves, they should at least honor that.
Okay. But look, let me call both of you here to task here. It's like, you know what you're reminding me of right now, both of you?
What?
This is what you remind me of. I'm going to get real stereotypical here for a second. But many guys who are married will understand what I'm talking about. You know, you're at home, your spouse comes home from work, and you get into talking about, oh, yeah, hey, I'm glad you're home. I did this and this and this today. And the spouse says, you know, it'd be kind of nice. I haven't seen you all day. It would be kind of nice if I came in the door and you asked me how my day was. Right? So you go, you know what, honey? Whether you're the male or female counterpart, whatever, your spouse come in, you say, you know what, honey? You're right. How was your day? You just did what you wanted them to do, and they're still mad at you. They're still mad at you. That's what you two are right now. Marty Scorsese came in the room, and you guys have been, and I've been saying to him too, ask me how my day was, Marty. And Marty finally goes, okay, you know what? You're right. How was your day? And you, sticks in the mud, are going, too late. But he just did what we wanted him to do.
I don't believe him.
I
You
can't
guys are
relate to
being
this because I'm a
mean.
perfect wife. I've never had this situation happen to me.
Never.
Never.
Anyway, guys, question is, what do you guys think about Marty Scorsese's comments here? Is it too little, too late? Are you like me? You're going, you know what? All good. Let's now move forward. How do you feel about it right now? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to our fourth main topic today. Chris, what is main topic number 4 today?
This is from Omar94. Chernobyl's Craig Mazin is developing a Pirates of the Caribbean reboot with original screenwriter Ted Elliott and original producer Jerry Bruckheimer returning. Thoughts? While Mazin was praised for Chernobyl, that was on TV. His film credits are hangover sequels, but with a good director and cast, he might deliver. I'm scratching my head about Elliott and Bruckheimer. Is this a reboot? Fresh start? Why are people from the first franchise returning? Chernobyl doing Pirates of the Caribbean. What could be more natural?
There's so many odd things about this story, and I'm choosing my words very carefully here. Odd. Just odd things. Like, yeah, on the surface of it, the guy from Chernobyl doing Pirates of the Caribbean. Not a thing I would have thought of right there. By the way, My wife, I would just watch the last episode of Chernobyl again yesterday because my wife and Kaori have been watching Chernobyl like one episode per week, and they watched the final one last night. Oh my God, that thing is so good. Chernobyl's so good. Anyway, but it goes beyond that. The whole notion of restarting this franchise also seems odd. I mean, the film has what, 5 or 6? 5?
Yeah.
5 films. One of them is utterly fantastic, the first one. Mm-hmm. 3 of them are complete garbage. And I thought the last one was not bad. I actually thought the latest one wasn't bad. But that's as good as I can go. I feel like it's time to put this thing to bed for 10 years. Maybe come back to it later. Put this thing to bed for 10 years. The other odd thing is, I get it. There's a lot of drama going on in terms of Johnny Depp. I get that. But what is the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise without Captain Jack Sparrow? Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's the only thing that was good in it. I love Barbossa. I love the Barbossa character very, very much, and all that kind of stuff. But let's face it. The face of this franchise, the thing that's been keeping the franchise going, is Captain Jack Sparrow. Not that I'm not saying they should make another one with him, but you're going to make another one this quickly without the main draw. It's interesting to me. Now, look, bringing on the guy from Chernobyl is great. By the way, they already had another script done by Wernick and Wernick's writing partner, the guys who did Deadpool.
Right.
They were taking a crack at the script, but then they moved on. They've got like 18 projects in the works at the moment. So they moved on. You bring in the guy from Chernobyl. I mean, I'm open to this, but it just feels like a weird move to me right now, right? Just a weird move. What do you make of all this?
I think it's strange too. I mean, I was thinking, okay, if you're not going to have Captain Jack, and there's going to be somebody like that Bourne sequel they did with Jeremy Renner.
Right.
The Bourne Legacy.
Bourne Legacy.
Which I actually liked.
I actually did not think that was bad.
Yeah, I liked it. So you could do something like that. But what actor could fill the shoes of the main protagonist the way Johnny Depp created Captain Jack? I mean, maybe Jack Nicholson could in his prime, but he's in his 80s now. Who's going to do it? And like you said, why? The franchise is Johnny Depp. And I think anybody that is a fan of that, I actually like the third one at World's End quite a bit because it's so bonkers and some of the fantasy
That's one with Ian McShane, right?
Yeah, I think so. And you know the giant.
No, I'm sorry. I think that was the fourth thing. I got it wrong. Sorry.
With the giant whirlpool and Chow Yun-Fat's in it. I mean, it's awesome and it's goofy fun. But I just don't know how you could do this franchise without Johnny Depp. And I was thinking about, well, who would do it? Who's going to play? You've got to have somebody that maybe not is emulating Jack Sparrow, can be doing something different, but definitely somebody that flamboyant. Like, who do you...
Or you go the opposite way. You go for a totally different sort of energy without it trying to
That's true
have
too.
the flamboyance of a Captain Jack. I
but
don't know.
You still need a big character in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, someone who can really command the screen. I don't know. Like, I don't like playing the X actor in X role, but I think, like, after seeing Glass, which I didn't love, James McAvoy comes to mind. That guy can do just about anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, it all depends on the type of character they want to do. And I think a lot of fans are going to be tempted to think, who can be the next Captain Jack Sparrow? That's not probably the right way to go. It's going to be interesting to see which way they go with that. But again, mark me down as being oddly curious. I'm oddly curious, but still, I think this is a strange move, not a bad one. I just think a strange question is, guys, what do you think about this? Do you think this is the right move for them at this point? Do you think it'll even happen? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our fifth and final main topic today. Chris, what is our fifth and final main topic today?
Last topic's from Damien. I was looking over the list of movies releasing in November, and it might just be most stacked movie of the year. Ford vs. Ferrari, 21 Bridges, Knives Out, Irishman, Terminator, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Frozen 2, and Dr. Sleep. Which films are you looking most forward to?
Yeah, November is nutty. You know, this has what started out at the beginning of 2019 of looking like a couple of real big comic book movies, and other than that, not a lot, Star Wars movie. Not a lot that got a lot of people very excited at first. Now, that started to change as we got into April, and CinemaCon really started to unveil, here are the films that are coming. We got a little bit more excited. 2019 has very quietly morphed into an incredibly good year for film. Incredibly good year for film, and you're not wrong. November could end up being the best of the bunch. It could. Right now, we're looking at films like this. Now, this one's not theatrical, but The Irishman, which we've been talking about a lot, drops November 1st. Terminator Dark Fate, which is basically being called the best Terminator film they've done since Terminator 2, which again is not a high bar, but still. Midway has people being way more excited about it than it has any business making people excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah, that trailer came out and like all of a sudden I was interested in Midway. I'm fascinated by Dr. Sleep with Hugh McGregor, the spiritual sequel to The Shining.
The reviews, people are saying it's great.
Yeah, I'm hearing very, very good things about it. What could be a contender for Best Picture of the Year? It's got a lot of people buzzing. Ford v Ferrari. They're talking Matt Damon and Christian Bale could be possibilities to be nominated, both nominated for the lead actor, perhaps, coming out of that. You got other films like some that's going to get some attention, like Charlie's Angels. Chadwick Boseman and 21 Bridges.
Which also looks great.
Which also looks wonderful. And screw y'all, I like the first Frozen. I'm looking forward to Frozen 2. At D23, they showed us a big extended look at it. It looks really good, guys. It really, really does. And then, of course, maybe the two best. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood screams Oscar worthy. I mean, we don't, maybe it'll suck, but Tom Hanks is right in the running there. And then one of the best reviewed movies of the year right now is Knives Out, which everybody's raving about. This is an incredibly stacked month. This is going to be a great month at the movie theaters for all of us. Now, I think the number one box office movie here, I personally don't have a lot of doubt, is going to be Frozen 2. I think that's going to be, I mean, look, that one's has real legitimate billion-dollar film aspirations. I don't know if any of the rest of those films do. It'll be the number one film at the box office. But then you're talking about Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. You're talking about Knives Out. You're talking about 21 Bridges, which I've been extremely excited for since the day they announced that movie. I gotta say, though, the movie ever since April that I am most looking forward to this month, despite all those amazing films, and I cannot wait to watch all of them, has got to be Ford v Ferrari. Rob, we knew next to nothing other than it was happening up until we got to CinemaCon. Hell, at CinemaCon, I didn't even realize they had even started shooting. Honestly,
Right.
I knew the movie was, I didn't even know they had started shooting, and they came out and gave us this big presentation on Ford v Ferrari that had everybody buzzing in their seats. The trailers have been fantastic since then. All the early buzz that I've been hearing, including the people at the studio, they really think this is a legit Best Picture contender. You got the director of Logan in there with Matt Damon, Christian Bale. Look, I am dying to see Knives Out. I'm dying to see Beautiful Day. I'm dying to see 21 Bridges. I'm dying to see The Irishman. But I got to go. I think obviously the biggest one will be Frozen 2. The one I'm most looking forward to, though, out of all of those is still probably Ford v Ferrari. Rob, what about you?
You know what? I'm going to say something that I don't normally say. I'm going to quote something Grace Randolph said.
All right.
And Grace Randolph said that Ford v Ferrari is really the story of two artists fighting against corporate interests. You know, we've got with Shelby, Carl Shelby building the car. And I was like, wow, that's something Grace Randolph, that's something I can get behind. And I think that excited me more than anything because like you, I've been dying to see this movie since we sat next to each other at CinemaCon watching that footage going, man, this is so up my alley. When I was a kid, I watched the Indy 500. I was so into race cars and I will watch cars race around a track for 2 hours if that's all it is. But then you got Matt Damon and you've got people like Tracy Letts, who's one of not only a great screenwriter and playwright, but one of my favorite character actors. He's in it. You got John Barenthal is in it. This cast looks amazing. I can't wait to see it. But then again, Dr. Sleep, I read the book. It's a sequel to The Shining, little goofy. But, I mean, people might talk about the hotness in Charlie's Angels. Let me tell you, as I've said before on the show, Rebecca Ferguson in her Slash hat from Guns N' Roses is like the hottest thing I've ever seen, ever in any movie, perhaps of all time. And it's a horror movie based on a Stephen King book that Ewan McGregor is coming back playing little Danny Torrance, all grown up. You got the twins from The Shining coming back. It's a sequel to the movie The Shining, and it's an adaptation of the book. I mean, I I can't think of anything better. And now that we've heard that Dr. Sleep is good, and then of course Roland Emmerich, despite the fact Independence Day Resurgence was what it was, Roland Emmerich, man, Roland Emmerich coming in. I'm a kind of guy that was excited for White House Down. I am excited for Midway, dude. It looks awesome. You've got all kinds of planes that I built when I was a little kid. I built all the World War II planes. They got Dauntlesses in there. I can't wait to see this movie. CGI World War II battles. Bring it on.
Are you in agreement with me though that probably Frozen 2 is without much problem going to be the #1 box office film of that month?
I have no problem letting go my opinion that says, yes, indeed, I'm sure it's going to crush November. And again, rightfully so. You got the holiday season, every kid, every girl, as a matter of fact, every girl from 9 to 90 is going to go see Frozen 2.
We sure are.
Yeah, and you know what? My only problem is whatever song is in that movie, we're going to have to listen to it for the next 6 months.
I still love that original song. I still love Let It Go. And by the way, the new song is also really good. It's no Let It Go, but it's quite good. Chris, you're looking at this list. There's such heavyweight contenders in here. Like this is the type of month, guys, that if you're a movie fan, you've just got an idiot grin on your face from ear to ear right now thinking about November. But you're looking at this month. What is appealing to you? Which one's got you most excited?
Oh, this is why we roll out the Christmas decorations early, you guys, because Christmas is in November. Look at all these gifts. I am really excited for Frozen 2. My best friend Kendall wants to have like a Frozen party. I'm very excited about that. Knives Out has been my most anticipated film of the year. I am so much more excited about that than Star Wars, than anything else coming out. I love Agatha Christie, so this feels like that kind of thing. I'm so hyped. And I feel like I'm going to surprise you guys a little bit. I am really stoked for Dr. Sleep. Like, I can't wait to go see that. I'm going to scream, and I'm so sorry to everyone who's at the AMC with me because I'm going to be such a pain in the ass and cry a whole bunch, I'm sure, because I don't do well with horror movies. But that one looks so good. And I'm interested how they're going to do it because it definitely has so many of the original Shining imagery and everything in it. But I know that they've talked about really focusing on what the book did. And I know Stephen King had issues with the original Shining film, as well as a lot of novel fans had with that movie as well. I love that movie. So I'm really excited to see how they kind of marry the imagery, the iconography of this really popular film with the book and how that all comes together. And I can't wait to see it. And again, so sorry for all my screaming and crying.
You know what's funny? So that film comes out November 8th.
Yeah.
Fandango is doing kind of what they did with Aquaman. There is a early fan event to see the film 1 week in advance.
What?
On October 30th. Yeah, I believe that's, is that Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday.
That's a Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
I bought my tickets. So I'm gonna go see it on Wednesday. I'm very stoked for this film. But yeah, so for me, #1 most anticipated is Ford v Ferrari. Rob, for you, it's Dr. Sleep?
No, I think it's Ford v Ferrari.
Okay, so
and
it's
then
also
after
Ford.
that, I would say I forgot about Knives Out because I also like Chris. I'm deliriously excited for Knives Out. But then Dr. Sleep and Midway.
Chris, and your #1 is Dr.
Knives
Sleep?
Out.
Oh, it is Knives Out. That's #1 for you.
I'm going to see Dr. Sleep and be very happy and scared, but Knives Out.
Question is for you guys. It's a packed, awesome looking month. Which movie has you most excited? Do any of you disagree with me that Frozen 2 is clearly going to be the box office winner? Maybe you think something else has a little bit of a sleeper's chance. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, we're going to go now into some live questions. A couple of quick things to let you guys know, though. For those of you who are Patreon supporters, and first of all, thank you so much to all of you who are Patreon supporters. Don't forget that 15 minutes after we're done the show today, hop on over to the Discord server. We're going to have a John Campea Show post-show chat. So I'm going to be jumping in there and chatting with you guys about the things we talked about on the show here today. Hope to see you guys there, so make sure you join me there as well. Now, before we get over to our live questions, we're going to take a short little break here. We're going to stretch our legs, rest the vocal cords, fill up our drinks and all that kind of stuff. So if you guys will indulge us, give us just a couple of minutes and we will be right back. Hang tight. We'll see you in just a minute. guys, thank you for indulging us as we took a little bit of a break there. And we are now going to jump in and start taking your live questions. All right, let's just jump over here and get things started here. Alex Pitt writes, is Jojo Rabbit your favorite Waititi film now? Whoo! I did go to see Jojo Rabbit. It's my number one film of the year right now. There's still several films I have to see. I still have, favorite is a tough thing. I'm still going to say right now my favorite is still probably What We Do in the Shadows. But man, Jojo Rabbit is right up. Jojo Rabbit is absolutely magnificent. Kevin Lewis writes, Coppola, I'm still big. It's my mind that got small. Little bit. Yeah, I'm not. A lot of people were making the analogy of, get off my lawn, you kids. And there's a little bit of that in there. Superman Steve writes, I really wish I could watch movies with subtitles, but unfortunately, I just can't read fast enough. I miss all the action because I'm so focused on reading the subtitles. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, yesterday I did a new version, a new installment of Thoughts on Walks. And one of the things I talked about, the thing I did talk about in my Thoughts on Walks episode was the problem we have with subtitled movies. Because I just saw Parasite, which is stupid good. It's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels as directed by Quentin Tarantino. And to me, it's my number 2 favorite movie of the year right now. But the basic idea is this. I have no problem with subtitles. A number of them are some of my favorite films of all time. But I did especially notice watching Parasite, Rob, that the performances are so good. I didn't want to take my eyes off their faces as they were reciting their lines, because even the way they emoted just with their faces, I was getting frustrated that I had to take my eyes off their faces giving these incredible performances to read the words down at the bottom. I said that comes into play a lot, especially in kung fu movies where there's a fight going on and there's dialogue going on between the characters. Like, I can't... So I love subtitle movies, I do, but that was one of the problems for me. Do you ever have any issues with the subtitle movies?
You know, I've been watching subtitled movies since I was a kid, and especially with Asian films, when people talk, there's a lot of fast back and forth. Like for John Woo movies, it's always bothered me because John Woo movies are so awesome. The action films like The Killer and Hard Boiled, that I have to go back and I'll read all the subtitles first, then I go back usually and watch the movie again, or at least I did when I first saw them, because it's hard to concentrate on the visuals when you're reading subtitles. That's my only problem. And for movies that have a lot of cuts in them or are fast paced, it's not ideal. But for the most part, and you can't concentrate on the visuals because, you know, you're used to looking at films while you're hearing the sound, so you're concentrating on both. But reading is a whole different thing. So, you know, you're kind of constantly, your perception is going back and forth, and that kind of can get old for me.
See, there's a lot of movies where it never bothers me, but it's when you get into a movie that is so good, like Parasite, and like the performances are so good that you don't want to miss a microsecond of the slightest thing they do with their performance,
right,
from their gestures, their facial. And I find like the better the movie is, the more I notice that I'm having to constantly take my eyes down. So I love subtitle films. It's just, and then for people like Steve, there are some people with practical things like maybe eyesight, or maybe like you have trouble reading that fast. It can be a challenge for some people, but that is what it is. I still take it over dubbing.
Yeah,
I still take subtitles over dubbing.
Dubbing drives me crazy, but it really depends on. For me, most of the time it doesn't bother me. But if a language is fast and there's just a lot to read, then it becomes a little distracting. But it doesn't. I won't not watch a movie because of subtitles.
All right. Next up here, Superman Steve writes, "I really hope Robert keeps the beard. I really think it suits him. You know what? I'm buying into that. I'm buying into the RMB beard.
I've never had one ever before.
It looks distinguished.
It might look
coming
a little
in there.
old. You know, my sponsor on my YouTube show, Lucky Tiger, I was kind of growing it in because I can't use half their products. So I wanted to do I'm going to try their products and see what it's like to have facial hair.
Oh, well, it's looking good, man. All right, Nathan Oswald writes, it's Mega Maid. She's gone from suck to blow. Which is, again, I always love it when people want to talk about Spaceballs. It's one of the great moments. She's gone from suck to blow. All right. Superman Steve writes, John, I'm meeting John Travolta on Friday the 8th of November. That's awesome. Man, I'm excited. Have you watched his new movie, The Fanatic? I personally loved it. Or I absolutely loved it. I have not seen it. I've heard absolutely abysmal things about it, as has been most of Travolta's career lately. Now, look, none of the crap, the abundance of crap that John Travolta has put out. I think somebody gave me a statistic that he had 3 movies in a row recently that were all zeros on Rotten Tomatoes.
Like that Gotti film,
like
the John Gotti movie. But Johnny's got to eat.
But you know
Johnny
what?
gotta eat.
None of that will take away, Face Off. None of that will take away Pulp Fiction. None of that will take away, Broken Arrow. That's right, I went there.
Do you know that he made a movie that I consider to be maybe my supreme guilty pleasure of all time?
Battlefield Earth.
Nope.
Okay, good.
The sequel to Saturday Night Fever.
Oh, yeah.
That Sylvester Stallone directed, Staying Alive. I saw it like 4 times in the theater, and Finola Hughes, who plays his love interest, was Anna Devane on General Hospital, which I loved at the
really?
time. So I kept going, and I'm embarrassed to admit it now, but damn, Johnny looked good in that movie.
So suffice it to say, I'd be excited to, despite all the crap he's been doing lately, Mr. Adele Dazeem, I would still totally be excited if I was going to get a chance to go and sit down with John Travolta. I totally would. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next up, Benny95 writes, Rise of Skywalker theory. The end battle includes Rey, Kylo, Force Ghost Luke, and Leia all up against Palpatine. A nice way the film could end on its sand planet similar to Tatooine with 2 suns setting in the galaxy. I mean, that's possible, except for a couple things. Number one, I do not think we're going to see Kylo turn good guy. I just don't think that's going to happen. Number two, remember, everything with Leia in this film is reused footage that they didn't use from Star Wars The Force Awakens. I don't think you can. And they said they're not going to CGI any Leia in this. If that's the case, I don't know how you have any kind of a battle scene. Not to mention Leia never trained in battle. We saw her pull a gun and kick some ass, I guess, in the start. But because of that, I don't think it's going to play out quite like that. However, we could see some sort of Rey and Luke and Yoda, maybe, or I mean, it could go there. That's quite a possibility. What do you think the chances of that are?
I think we're going to see a Force Ghost cornucopia of awesomeness. I'm thinking, I wouldn't be surprised. Because, J.J. Abrams was talking about long ago, or like, I think Kevin Smith's like, you want to see the final shot? And Kevin Smith said no, and J.J. Abrams said, yeah, you should see in the movie. I'm thinking every Force Ghost. I want to see Qui-Gon. I want to see Anakin. I want to see Ben Kenobi. Everybody should show up. Force Ghost it up, help him beat Palpatine, and then everybody walks away. Although, look, as you know, I want Sheev to win. I think everybody should be dead at the end of the movie, except Palpatine. Lando and Chewie are flying away in the Falcon to fight another day, but I want to see Sheev.
There's one problem with that, and it's canon.
I know.
In Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, Luke is about to go off to face Vader again, right? And what does Ben tell him? He says, look, if you want to go and face Vader, I mean, you can do that, kid, but understand this, you got to do it alone. I can't interfere. They seem to suggest, without giving us a full explanation, that Force Ghosts cannot interfere in a conflict of the living. That's at least what was suggested.
But is Sheev living?
We're getting into semantics.
Is the Jedi Covenant broken, or when somebody used things from his own words when he said unnatural? Maybe there's something going on that Palpatine has done that is unnatural, that allows the Jedi to intervene.
Maybe. I'll tell you what, I hadn't considered that. That is possible. Let's wait and see what happens.
By the way, dude, aren't you excited to see Palpatine come back?
Oh, dude, ridiculously so.
I can't wait. Like, I just want to see that.
Dude, when you heard his voice, when you heard his cackle in the first thing they played at Star Wars Celebration, and Ian McDiarmid, and then the lights come up and Ian McDiarmid standing there on stage, everybody lost their minds. I mean, come on. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I just hope they do it well. All right, Captain Confidence Entertainment writes, auditioning for Lucifer at 4:30 today. Wish me luck, good luck. I know they're getting close to wrapping up filming for the final season. I know Erin's already shot all of her stuff for the final season, so that's exciting. So good luck for that, Captain Confidence. Kevin Lewis writes, over under 30% Robert Meyer Burnett has a DVD of Papillon, Hoffman, Steve McQueen. I'm going to go over on that. No, I got it wrong.
I don't have that. It's not that it's a great movie.
That just seems like one you would have.
I know. I do not have that.
Oh, there you go. I missed that one. All right. Superman Steve writes, and then, after meeting Travolta, it's my birthday 2 weeks later. Yay, P.S. Best show on the internet / YouTube, LOL. Thank you so much, Superman Steve, and I hope you have a good time meeting John Travolta. Have a great birthday as well. It sounds like you got a nice couple of days lined up in front of you, so I'm a little bit envious. All right. Next up, Angry Irish Benjamin writes, you maniacs, you burned it up. Darn you. Darn you all to heck. Madagascar. Well, obviously that's them mimicking, doing an homage to the apes. But I don't remember that line from Madagascar. Then again, I got to admit, it's been a while since I saw the original animated Madagascar, but I don't remember that line from Madagascar. To me, it's a forgettable movie. So always remember the penguins. The penguins are the one good thing that came out of that Madagascar stuff. I still like the penguins there. All right. Angry Irish Benjamin also writes, I had a lot of fun with Terminator Dark Fate. I'm hearing that from a lot of people. I'm also hearing from people that didn't love it, which is fine. But I'm just surprised how many people I'm hearing from saying they actually quite enjoyed it. So we'll find out more on Thursday. The rest of us get to see it on Thursday. All right, Noel Nguyen writes, 1 of 2. Fun fact. This year has seen the record for every... This is true. I remember hearing this the other day. This year has seen the record for every MPAA... MPPA, it should be MPAA, I believe. Motion Picture Association.
But now it's just the MPA. They dropped an A.
Oh, really?
So it's now just like the Motion Picture Association.
Oh.
Because it's not of America anymore.
I didn't know that. Well, anyway, the MPA rating category surpassed in worldwide gross except for NC-17, which I believe would still be Showgirls, I think.
God love Showgirls.
G-rated, Toy Story 4. Oh, but that's right. Toy Story 4 got a G rating instead of R rating, or instead of PG. That's right. PG rating, The Lion King. PG-13 rating, Avengers Endgame. R-rated, The Joker. NC-17, Crown, still Showgirls won't be taken. That is interesting when you think about that. And I totally forgot that Toy Story was G, because they've gone PG with a lot of their stuff lately. But that is kind of a remarkable number when you hear about, like, every one of the ratings has seen their record broken this year. That's actually pretty fascinating.
John, we got to make an NC-17 film and go after that crown.
Oh, I agree. And one thing I want to point out to Marty Scorsese, a number of those are not comic book movies. Go figure. Okay, let's move on here. KW Garrett 83 writes, opening of next Spider-Man movie. Peter holds press conference to deny he's Spider-Man. Whilst he eats a cheeseburger, he says, I'm not the hero type, clearly, then pauses and says, I am Spider-Man. Of course, going back again to he's just Iron Man Jr. In these new movies. By the way, this is unpopular, but I really do think this. I don't think the post-credit scene of Spider-Man Far From Home is even going to be addressed. I think it might get referenced briefly that, oh yeah, it's a good thing such and such. It's a good thing. Thank goodness Nick Fury came forward representing the government to say no, that wasn't true. And then they'll just move on. Like, everybody seems to be assuming that the next Spider-Man is going to be dealing with the fallout of that post-credit scene. I don't think it will. Just like, the next time we saw Iron Man after Iron Man 3 wasn't dealing with the fallout of him saying, I'm not going to be Iron Man anymore. Like, I'm taking the thing out, blah, blah, blah. And then what's happened the next time we saw him in Age of Ultron? He was just Iron Man again, flying around. Not even a reference. Not even a reference. Because time happens in between movies and they can just say things happen there. So I actually don't think, other than a passing reference, I don't think the next Spider-Man movie is going to be about that. Now, obviously, it could be. It very well could be. I could be very, very wrong about that, and that's totally fine. I'm not willing to put money on that, but I'm kind of thinking that. Rob, what do you think?
Well, I think, like I've said, I want them to call the movie Homefront, and it's all about Spider-Man putting his friendly neighborhood back together again on many different levels. So I think they probably will, unless it turns out to be some induced Mysterio's last induced hallucination or something. But maybe I could see it being the basis for, it just complicates his life. And it would be really interesting to see how that life is so complicated. Like, what does Aunt May have to do when everyone's banging on her door, wanting a quote or this, that, and the other thing? And that's when Kraven the Hunter decides to come take out Spider-Man or whatever. So his life is like falling apart, and that's why you call it Homefront, because he's embattled on all sides. You've got Homecoming, Far From Home, and now Homefront, I think would be a great title. I mean, I'm just pushing it because I want them to call it that so I can say, look at me. I think that it could make for good spider drama, but I think you also could have a point that maybe they just won't address it. But don't they kind of have to? I mean, his secret identity being revealed is a big deal.
I really don't think they do. All they have to do is one passing line. Man, thank goodness Fury released that other footage that did that. Yeah, and now back to life. Gets back to Homefront, dealing with the neighborhood and blah, blah, blah. So we'll see. We'll see. They very well could. They very well could do that. I'm suspecting it's not going to be the big thing of the next Spider-Man movie. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right, Kevin Lewis writes, top 10 shows to get stoned for. Inception. You probably meant movies. Inception, Doctor Strange, Gumby and Pokey, 2001, Darnie Darko, Office. Is there a movie called Office?
Office Space?
Office Space, maybe? Lego Movie, Kaiju Movies, Sucker Punch, yeah, Wizard of Oz. Sucker Punch is a movie you need to watch on mute. I've been saying this since the first time I saw it. Like honestly, if you put Sucker Punch on mute and just watch and kind of make up what's going on in your head, awesome movie.
It's not until you turn Hot Toys from Sucker Punch.
Really?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Baby Doll and
obviously Baby
one
Doll.
Of the other characters, which I don't even remember because I've never even opened it.
You know what's killing me? I was watching, mentioned Ian McShane earlier, watching that new show with Ian McShane, American Gods. Have you seen American Gods
yeah,
yet?
I saw the first season.
And have they started the second season yet? I don't think they have.
No, I think they did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even, okay.
I think it ended.
I watched the first season. I haven't watched the second season yet. Anyway. And the main character's wife, I'm watching it. Like, why do I know her? And it was Baby Doll.
Yes, it
from
is.
Sucker Punch. Totally her. I like her a lot. I've met her. She's like total sweetheart. Total sweetheart. Anyway, okay, let's move on here. Next up, Misha47 writes, or Mr. 47 writes, what other Robert Pattinson films do you recommend besides Good Time? Plus Lighthouse was haunting, memorizing film, very Hitchcock-esque. There are a bunch of them. The ones I would recommend most are, my favorite performance of his is not everybody's, but it is mine, is in The Rover. I love him in The Rover.
It's so good. I have that on Blu-ray. Over, under, do I have that on Blu-ray? Yes.
Yeah, that's over. High Life.
Did you see Cronenberg's movie Cosmopolis?
Yes. He was very, very good in that. I got to admit, I didn't love the movie.
No, I didn't. I was disappointed in the film, but he was good in it.
Oh my gosh, he did one with Nicole Kidman where they're in the desert. Oh, that, again, not a great movie, but he was great in it. Lost City of Z. Again, he turned in a really good... But the two I would point towards that were neither Good Time nor Lighthouse, my next two would definitely be go to The Rover and go to High Life. I just love them in those. Which one do you recommend the most, Rob?
Well, High Life, I have a love-hate relationship with that movie. I own that movie too, but I don't know if I like it very much. He's good in it, but the movie drives me berserk. And I've watched it like 4 times. Yeah.
All right. Next up, Justin McFarlane writes, John, love the show. Thank you so much, Justin. Rob, a couple of movies on my 4K wish list are Tron 82 and Eddie and the Cruisers. Any personal favorites on your list?
Wow, Dark Side's coming now. Nothing is real.
I've never heard. I don't think
She'll
anybody's
never
ever
know
brought
just
that up.
how I feel. I love Eddie and the Cruisers.
I don't think anybody's ever brought up Eddie and the Cruisers on the show.
From out of the shadow, she walks like a dream.
What was that, like 83?
Something like that. On the dark side. I love Eddie. I just can't believe do you get a copyright hit if I sing a song? That's an interesting... I would love to get a 4K version of Tron. I don't know if we'll ever get it. I've received... I want the 4K versions and Dolby Vision versions of The Godfather. I got Apocalypse Now. We got The Shining. We got 2001. I would love Clockwork Orange in 4K, which I think we're getting. And, of course, I want the original versions of Star Wars. I want Star Wars Empire and Jedi in 4K. The original versions, not the special editions.
Which you're never going to get.
I know. And I want them. And there's so many great movies. Dude, I could go on forever when it comes to 4K.
Let me rephrase that. I don't think you're going to get those while George Lucas is still alive.
Yeah.
When George Lucas is, and hopefully this isn't for many years to come, when George Lucas is no longer with us and maybe his estate will let them do it. But I think as long as George is around, I don't think you're going to see those originals.
I have one more thing. If you are collecting 4K discs, Die Hard in 4K is a must buy if you like Die Hard, because it's never looked good on home video. It's really hard to get Jan de Bont's photography of that time transferred. The Die Hard disc is essential, and I'm dying. I've heard Studio Canal is doing Basic Instinct. Give me Basic Instinct in 4K, also shot by Jan de Bont.
All right, next one up comes to us from Madsif Jada, who writes, better studio tactic. Many small movies versus a few big ones. There's no right answer to that. There's simply no right answer. It's like saying in hockey, better to take a slap shot from the left side or from the right side. It all depends on what your studios and what your goals are. I honestly don't think there's a right way or a wrong way there or a better tactic there one way or the other. Hey, it's just make good movies that people want to see and you make money. Do you make money? Do you make more money than you had to put out? I mean, if you do that with big films, great. If you do it with small films, great. Rob, do you have a preference one way?
Well, you know, they keep swinging for the fences with big movies, like Men in Black International is an example of that. And I think Joker, if you're a studio, rather than swing for the fences, go for base hits. Get on base every time. Get on second base every time, as opposed to swinging for the fences and missing.
All right. Next up, Deer Stalker writes, hey, John and crew, hope you all had a great weekend. I did have a great weekend, thank you, other than Wirecast crapping out on me, which I'll go into that another time. Whatever happened to the Lexi Alexander movie Crossface? I was really looking forward to it. Honestly, I don't know. Lexi has been busy. She's been doing television and stuff like that, too, directing a bunch of that. I honestly don't know. I mean, the last time I saw Lexi, we talked about it, and she was stoked about it. But here's the reality, guys. We keep saying this all the time. Many, many, many times. Just because a movie's getting developed does not mean it's going to happen. I mean, out of every, 10 movies that go into development, maybe 8 of them never actually see a movie screen. So I've got a feeling Crossface, they probably just ran into, I got a feeling it's not going to happen. Now, I haven't heard that officially from anybody, but I've wanted to see it. Like, Rob, I think you and I were talking about it once. You were interested in that too.
Yeah, I'm a fan of hers. I love Punisher, her Punisher movie.
Warzone.
I love really Lexi good. Alexander. And she's on Twitter.
Yes, she is.
Go, you can ask her.
She's active on Twitter too. All right, this is a placeholder name writes, do you ever worry that you get too many super chats sometimes? Does it ever affect your time? I see the irony of me asking this question on super chat. Well, no, because whenever we get so many questions that it takes just too long, well, then we just do a companion video later. And our audience understands that, and it's been great. So, no, by all means, keep supporting, guys. Keep supporting. Initial D's writes, good morning, John. Sorry for not keeping it PG on Friday. You probably don't remember, but you censored me? That won't be happening again. Hello, everyone, and happy Joker Day. I don't recall censoring you at all. I don't know what it is we're talking about, Initial. I know you put in tons of comments, but I don't recall censoring you. So anyway, I don't recall that. Anyway, Kyle McCaskill writes, watch Taxi Driver. Racism is crazy in this. Even holding a gun to the screen, watching Soul Train, original script had him only killing black people. I don't know that that's true. Is that true? I've never heard that.
I don't know if that's true. It could very well be. I mean, yes, the racism was crazy in the 70s, especially in New York City. And you see how far we've come as a people.
But, it's funny because, but you got to keep this in mind, too. Marty Scorsese was never putting Travis Bickle forward as a hero.
No.
He was an awful person. And he portrayed him as that. And even Marty, in his own cameo in the movie, in the back seat, he portrayed an awful person, too. With a lot of sexist, misogynistic, and racist kind of things. I mean, but that was all him going towards portraying these, just make no mistake, these are not heroes.
No.
I mean, these are broken, sad, troubled, kind of rotten people in many ways already. And I think that was used as a tool to communicate that. So that's how I always interpreted it at any rate. All right. Next up here. I binged Paul Rudd's Living With Yourself, 7.5 out of 10. Still haven't watched it. Ann and I, it's high on our list. Ann and I both want to watch it. Rob, have you had any chance to watch it?
Yeah, we watched it. Elizabeth, I watched the back half of it. And I liked it, but I'd say 7.5 out of 10 is fair.
Well, I'm dying to see it. I still
it's
haven't had a
fun.
chance to watch it.
It's fun. I liked it a lot.
Millifish writes, with Cloak and Dagger being canceled, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on its last season, and Kevin Feige now in control of TV, over under 60% Runaways Season 3 is its last. I'll go over.
Me too.
Which is too bad. I like that show. But, as many movie villains often say, if you want to build a new city, you got to bulldoze the old one first. And sometimes that means there's going to be some good things that need to go out as well to usher in the new. You know, I often talk about, somebody once said, yeah, reboot the DCEU, but keep Henry Cavill, keep Ben Affleck, keep Gal Gadot, keep Jason Momoa. But it's like, well, no, like, if you're rebooting, you need to reboot. It's like saying, no, I don't want to get a new car because I love the steering wheel in this car, so don't reboot. Yeah, but everything else about the car is crap. Anyway, it's unfortunate because I love Runaways, and I both really like that show. But yeah, I think it's all going to have to make way because it won't fit into Kevin's new grand design, whatever that is. So yeah, I believe it'll be over 60% of season 3 is its final. Do you agree, Rob?
I do. I think Runaways is gone.
Yeah, and hey, you know what? I'm just glad it got a second season, to be honest with you. I didn't even know. It was a little touch and go about whether it was going to get a season 2. And here we are, we're going to get 3 seasons, so yay. Kevin Lewis writes, has the Plan B option of transmuting a movie from theatrical release to streaming service made it less risky for investors and becomes a selling point? I don't think so. Because when you put that, especially if it's originally targeted as a theatrical release, there's simply more money to be made if you put it in theaters. But there's also a bigger risk of putting it. You could lose more money. You get a nice little pure flat offer from a streaming service. It's safer. It's safer. But there's more upside for you to put it in theaters and have like a Blumhouse movie that you made for $10 million and it makes 70. You know, there's just more upside there.
But
how would you address it, Rob?
You have to pay. The thing is, putting a movie in theaters, you have to market it.
Yep.
And that's really expensive.
That's the bigger risk.
And say you're making a small independent movie that costs $2 million, right? And you want to pay your investor back 30%. So if a streaming service offered you $5 million for your movie, the movie's paid for. You know it's going to get seen by millions of people because it's on a streaming service, but you might end up only making, $2.5 million. That's it. You pay your investor back. They're happy. They get 30% on their money, and you don't get wildly rich. But you've paid off your movie. There's no risk. You've got it on a streaming service, so it's seen, and you can go back to that investor again and make another movie.
All right, next up here, we've got Willow Yang writes, I used to watch videos of people playing Five Nights at Freddy's and Slender Man. What is the creepiest game you've ever played? Five Nights at Freddy's. No video game has ever creeped me out. No video game I have ever found scary.
John, what is Five Nights at Freddy's?
All right.
I am ignorant of this. Five
Nights at Freddy's. And so here's a little story. This was a couple of years ago. I'm laying in bed and everybody was talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. So I'm like, all right, so I was laying in bed, had my new tablet. I'm going to download this Five Nights at Freddy's and play it. And we're laying in bed. And I'm like, nope. Okay, so basically it's this. You are kind of a night watchman in this it's like a Chuck E. Cheese, right? Where there's a bunch of animatronic animals and whatever, right? But at night, the basic of the game, because it's been a couple of years, but you got to survive the night. Because these little things are all going to try to kill you. And it's a matter of knowing when to open and close doors. And you got to play it. But I will tell you, and they're constantly checking the answering machine for the day shift guy, leaving you messages and instructions, which is really funny.
How have I never heard of this ever in my life?
And they Chris Columbus has actually for a couple of years now been trying to develop it into a movie. But it is the only game. It's such a simple game. It is the only game, and it's a mobile game I have ever played that even remotely gave me the creeps. Now I'm laying in bed at night in the dark playing this, and after about 10 minutes, I'm like, nope. And I just had to turn it off.
Dude, I'm going to play this right now. I mean, not right now, but I'm going to go. I have to play this.
And I think there's like 3 or 4 of them now, but yeah, go right back to the first one.
And it's a mobile game?
Yeah, you can get it on your phone.
A mobile game scared you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And no other game ever has. But this game did creep me out. It totally did. All right. Denmar95 writes, Watch Terminator Dark Fate last Saturday, the best Terminator sequel since T2. It is thrilling and great fun. Arnold steals every scene he's in. He's the best thing in this, which is great to hear. Arnold has not been tearing it up. I keep forgetting the name of the movie to which he made his return, where he plays the small town sheriff.
Yeah, the one that the Korean director made.
Yes. I thought that movie was great. Plays the town sheriff.
Yeah.
I thought that movie was great fun, and nobody went to go see it. Which was too bad. But it's good to hear. Like, again, best since Terminator 2 is not a high bar, because nothing since Terminator 2 has been all that good, other than maybe a little bit of the Sarah Connor Chronicles on television. But I'm stoked to see it, dude, and I've been hearing Linda Hamilton really steals it too. So we'll see. All right, Curtis Lopez writes, going to see Jojo Rabbit tonight. Nice. As of right now, my favorite film of the year. Saw Parasite already. Really liked it. In your opinion, which of the two is better? They're very, very different films. I give the slight nod to Jojo Rabbit. There's something... Oh my... I can't even... Look, I've always known Taika was great. I didn't know he was capable of this level of greatness. I seriously adore this film. I can't believe how good this movie is. Rob, you haven't had a chance to see Jojo yet, have you?
No.
But I'll be curious to know your thoughts once you do, because
I'm probably going to go tonight. I think Monday nights become my art house fair. You know, it was Lighthouse last weekend. I think tonight's going to be Jojo
Check
Rabbit.
it out, man. It's I cannot wait to hear your thoughts on it. All right, Curtis Lopez writes, love Dolomite is my name. Welcome back, Eddie Murphy. A lot of fun, and it is a really, really good, solid return for him, setting us up for Coming to America 2, which, by the way, did you hear Eric LaSalle is not going to come back?
I know. Does that mean there's no Soul Glow?
I'm thinking there's going to be no Soul Glow.
I heard
Soul Glow.
Eddie Murphy said Sexual Chocolate's coming back, and everybody in the barbershop's coming back.
But no Eric LaSalle.
Did he hold out for too much money?
He's still enjoying that Logan money, I guess. All right. Tom Gillard writes, first day on the new job. Wish me luck. Love the show. Hey, man, that's always exciting. Starting a new job is always a fun, exciting day, dude. I hope you have a good one at it, Tom. All right. Brandon Blake writes, Episode 9 isn't sniffing endgames worldwide. Star Wars isn't big enough overseas. No, it won't come anywhere near that. But if it's good, does it have a shot at the domestic record held by The Force Awakens? Ooh. A lot of people forget. Let me bring up the box office mojo here for a second, just to get the final. A lot of people forget, because of just how incredibly monstrous Endgame is, that the all-time number one grossing film domestically in the United States is not Endgame. It's actually Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now, worldwide's the more important number, because that's your total money.
Right.
But in the United States, Star Wars Episode 9... or Episode 7, I should say, made $936 million domestically alone. It almost joined the $1 billion club domestically alone. Avengers Endgame, not terribly far behind, about $80 million behind at $858 million. Then Avatar at $760. Black Panther is the number 4 domestic film of all time at $700 million. And then Avengers Infinity War is at number 5 at $678 million. No chance it gets to $936 million domestically. No chance. Now, I say that now. If Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker comes out and everybody lauds it as one of the greatest films of all time, that could change, obviously. But barring that, I don't see any way. I mean, I don't see any movie anytime soon coming close to that Star Wars number, in as much as I don't see any movie anytime soon coming close to Avengers Endgame overall worldwide box office number. It's such a ridiculous number that even Endgame fell $80 million short of it. Like, that's how stupid this number is. So I don't think it has a chance. Rob, do you?
No. No.
Just that simple. No.
It would if Sheev won.
If Sheev wins, maybe. Midnight Madman writes, I was bullied often in my childhood. That sucks, dude. Not just by friends, but by family. Watching Joker was an emotionally painful and haunting self-reflection.
Wow.
You know, you bring up something really interesting in the Midnight, is that I think beyond just the genius of the storytelling and the characters, I think there's something about Joker, while maybe not as extreme for most of us. I think there's something about Arthur that there are moments, I think, in that movie that resonate with a lot of people. Whether it's the bullying, Maybe it's a lot of us have felt like we don't fit in. Maybe it's, disillusionment with our own parents. Maybe it's a lot of these things. I just think there's a number of moments in that film that probably did strike an emotional tone that maybe some of us felt a little too familiar with. So, I mean, I think that's a really neat observation, Midnight. What do you think about that, Rob?
I think a lot of people feel that way, and I keep saying it's a zeitgeist movie because that it's affecting people in a very personal. They have a very personal connection to what Arthur is going through, and I think that's why it's doing the kind of business it's doing. I mean, it's funny. There was all this talk about, there's going to be an incel uprising because of Joker. People are going to take arms. But I think the opposite has happened. I think that people have actually been affected by it and feel that that their plight, as just like we hear from this viewer from Midnight, that they've been heard, and that somebody actually addressed what was going on in their own lives, and they feel a connection to this movie. And that's not what people are talking about now. But I think that's why Joker's doing what it's doing.
And by the way, I should point this out too. There weren't many people doing that whole, this movie's going to lead to mass hysteria. Right. It was a few yes. idiots, but
it just got picked up.
Yeah, people,
and talked about it. But I never, it's funny when you see Joker, it's like this movie doesn't glorify violence.
Oh, not at all.
This movie, violence is ugly.
Yeah. Yep. Being carried out by a sick person. Ryan Lerner writes, who could forget the incredible cinematic experience Coppola gave us with Jack? Oh yeah, I went there. Here's the thing. To be honest, Ryan, just that going for the groin shot about, look, every director has a bad day. Every director has a bad movie you could point to. That doesn't take away from how great and the accomplishments they've had. To me, even Spielberg's had, I think Spielberg is the greatest director of all time, but he's had bad days at the office too. So let's just be fair. I'm just saying,
Hook.
I love Hook. Don't you talk about Hook. Hush, you with your beard. You and your beard, hush. Hook is awesome. I love Hook. Bangarang, baby. Bangarang. Where are we at here? Josh Bing writes, did JJ and Ryan use different cameras to shoot their Star Wars films? To me, JJ's always looks similar filter and aesthetic-wise to the other episodes, other minds. I have no answer to that, Josh, but I would guess, look, every director has their own particular taste they like to use, and every cinematographer that a director works with like that. I wouldn't doubt it at all if they use different cameras. Rob, do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, different cameras, different film stocks. I know Ryan Johnson worked with his longtime collaborator, his DP for Jedi. I love the way Last Jedi looked, by the way. I thought it's a stunningly beautiful movie. I like the look more than Force Awakens, but and I hope that when we see Sheev Palpatine, there's no lens flares. I want to see him in all of his glory.
All right. Coolsome XD writes, Dark Fate is the best Terminator film in years. I know that's not saying much, but this movie has me ready for more sequels. That's not happened with any of the T2 sequels. And it's good to hear. Now, again, I'm also hearing from some people that didn't quite love it, but after Genesis, I didn't know what to expect from people. I am a little bit thrilled and relieved, Rob, to hear that this number of people are actually enjoying it. I know you've been looking forward to this movie.
I have, because look, I like Tim Miller. I met him with the late great John Schnepp, and we had a nice chat when we saw Deadpool at the IMAX headquarters. And I'm pulling for Tim Miller. You weren't at the presentation at CinemaCon that day.
I was ill that day. Yeah,
he came out, man, and he was so excited. Like his enthusiasm for this movie was infectious. I want it to be a big hit for him, and I don't expect a Terminator movie to be high art necessarily. I just want it to kick ass. And everyone says it kicks ass. If I expect a Terminator movie to be fun and kick ass. And if that's what I get, I'm going to be happy with that.
All right. CXY writes, John, what do you like to eat for breakfast for the John Campea Show? I usually don't eat breakfast, to be honest. Now, I go in phases. Like last year, I was eating breakfast. Normally, I would just make a little omelet for myself. But other than that, I actually don't. I don't eat much in the morning. I'll just have like a protein shake. That's about it. I'll wake up, have a protein shake before going to the gym, and that's about it. Then I eat at lunch. So I really should eat more, but at least I'm getting some nutrients in there. All right, Stephen Foley writes, hey, John, I followed your lead on Saturday and did a triple header, Parasite, Lighthouse, and Jojo. I didn't get around to Lighthouse, unfortunately. And Jojo, all three were stellar films, with Parasite just edging out Jojo Rabbit. Listen, Parasite was so good. And it was completely not what I was expecting. The movie was not what I was expecting. But I loved it. To me, I go the other way. I have slightly JoJo edging out Parasite right now, but I did completely love it. And I cannot wait, Steven, to get up to where you're at so I can get Lighthouse under my belt as well. I'm probably going to try to go see that tonight. While Rob's going off to see JoJo, I'm probably going to go off and see Lighthouse here at this point. But yeah, for me right now, JoJo just edges it out, but I could totally see making the argument the other way around and having Parasite edging out JoJo, because they're both fantastic. Trev8 writes, what if foreign films did subtitles similar to the John Wick movies, where the words appear next to the character that's speaking? Would that be better or worse than just having them on the bottom? Here's the problem, though, Rob. In principle, it sounds like a solution. But we only saw it in John Wick in a couple of moments.
Right.
Can you do the whole film like that? I don't know if you can do that.
You know, the first time I saw subtitles that I remember that were like those John Wick subtitles was in Tony Scott's Man on Fire, the Denzel Washington movie.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool the way they did it, but I just don't know if you could sustain that for a whole film. It would, you know, because those subtitles are part of the film school term mise en scène of the frame. I mean, they become part of the image, like it's part of the movie itself, if that makes any sense. Whereas regular subtitles underneath the bottom are not, like they're part of away from the image, but the subtitles in John Wick are part of, they add like a cool factor to the shot that you're looking at in a way, and it's different. And I don't know if every movie would sustain that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it'd be awkward because then now you've got to compose.
Right.
The directors and the cinematographers
Yes.
have to compose all their shots based around where's the subtitling going to go.
Yes.
That would be, I just don't know if you can do it.
I would not want that to happen, John.
Yeah, it'd be odd. All right, Kenneth Colton writes, glad we got a show today with the Wirecast issues. Yes. So for those of you who know, I put up this up on my social media. My main program I used to do my live streaming is Wirecast. It's the best program in the world, way better than OBS. And I use OBS for other stuff, but it's fabulous. But they just upgraded to 13 and it broke everything. And I had to spend almost 3 hours of my weekend reassembling my show project just to try, and it's still not doing everything right. And I'm sure I haven't had a chance to monitor today's show. I'm hoping there's not too many technical issues, but it's been a pain in the ass, and I just hope Wirecast fixes this damn thing. I can't believe they released a version that was this buggy. Anyway, thanks for the well wishes, Kenneth. All right, Jared Oberfeld writes, Part 1. I think it's kind of funny that I saw Wizard of Oz with my mom and grandma over the weekend. There was a Cats trailer before the movie. Cats got the release date originally meant for Wicked. Wicked? Oh, that's right. They were doing a movie version of Wicked. Oh, I totally forgot about that. Because there is something odd about that. You're watching Wizard of Oz, and then they're advertising a movie that was supposed to be a launch date for a Wizard of Oz movie. That's a little bit meta. That's a little bit of a glitch in the Matrix right there. A little bit.
We should all go see Cats, by the way. All of us.
Hey,
we should have a John Campea Show Cats outing. We can all do a walking, talking thoughts video with you.
Aaron wants to do that with Knives Out. Aaron was asking if we can all go and watch Knives Out. I am telling you what, the trailer's terrible for Cats. I have very little doubt the movie's going to be that the movie isn't going to be great. I believe it's going to be great. It's all because of the director, Tom Hooper.
Right. I think you're probably right. And
yeah,
the cast.
If he's directing it, it's not going to be bad. If Tom Hooper is directing it, it will not be bad.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm actually kind of excited to see it. All right.
You're the song and dance man.
I guess I'm the song and dance man. Eric Michael writes, do you think with Joker's success, we will now see more villain movies? You know what? I don't know. Because again, this wasn't even really a villain movie. This was a different kind of look at the origin of a guy. This is not Batman's Joker.
Right.
You know, that's the thing. Like this world that Joker exists in, you can't have a Superman in that world. This is just the movie works because it is a gritty, real world. You know, whereas this isn't a world where you can have magic aliens with green glowing rings and Superman and, you know, an Amazonian princess with a golden lasso. It just doesn't work. So I don't know. My hope, though, is, and which has always been, Rob, is that a successful Joker will open the door for standalone movies that are freed from the shackles of, well, we got to stay consistent with our shared cinematic universe.
Right.
Nah, get creative. Do whatever you want to do, standalone movies. That's what I'm hoping. Do you think this could lead to more villain movies?
Well, this is the villain movie, and if you're going to start, if you go down Batman's rogues gallery, I don't think you could do a movie like this about Killer Croc.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
maybe you could, but I don't think so. Or even, I don't want to see the Penguin or the Riddler version of this movie. It is, I think, unique unto itself.
Because then you're just repeating what you've already done, right? You're just going to go the same stages with just now it's just a different character. I mean, I don't know. There's something so unique about Joker and the narrative possibilities it gives you that I'm afraid if they try to do it the other ones, like Rob was saying, I just feel like you're in the danger of just doing step and repeat.
What I do want to see is I want to see the Batman in this Joker world.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't know, but I mean, I know, but I want to see, like, how would that Batman be different? If you played it really realistically, would he be different? Could he? What would it be?
Well, you'd have a 60-year-old Joker.
I know.
So it'd be interesting.
I know.
All right, Eric Michael follows up and says, just saying I would love a Dr. Freeze origin story. He was just trying to save his wife. Yeah, but I don't know.
We got that.
Yeah,
Batman and Robin.
Yeah, we have, and we've got it in animated form as well. So
which was great.
Yes, it was.
The Batman the Animated Series episode of that was great.
Let's see. Mickey Altieri writes, remember when the media was yelling that the Joker would... Okay, again, can we stop this stupidity? Can we stop this? The media. No, there were a couple of people. I'm sorry. I'm part of the media, and I was never saying that. The vast majority, by the way, if you go like this thing when people say the media doesn't want you to like, no, that's not true. There were a couple of numbskulls that said a couple of stupid things. They are not the media any more than Americans don't like orange juice. No, there are some Americans that don't, but so can we just please stop with that verbiage, please? Remember when the media, no, they weren't, was yelling that Joker would inspire people to commit violence, but the only thing it really did was inspire was for people to take pictures and meme the crap out of those steps, which, by the way, and I don't know if this is the one that Mickey's referring to. Did you see, somebody shared with me and I put it up on Twitter. Somebody took that scene of the Joker dancing down the steps.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're going to say.
But put in the audio from the Cialis erectile dysfunction commercial.
I think I saw it. You put it on social media on Twitter. That's how I saw it. Hilarious, dude.
I literally sat there for about a half hour just hitting replay.
It's so funny.
And laughing myself sick. Guys, if you haven't seen it, just look up Joker Cialis online, and I'm sure you'll find it. It is one, and if that's what Mickey's referring to, it is one of the funniest things.
It's great.
I've seen in a while. Okay, let's do two more here before Rob's got to go. Jared Oberfeld writes, over under 99%. Rob buys Back to the Future on 4K. Oh, I have zero doubt about that. I'm going to over 99%.
Come on, that's like a certainty. Like death and taxes. I will buy Back to the Future on 4K.
All right. John Steinberg writes, my favorite subtitle movie is from Switzerland called Vetus. Child piano prodigy fakes accident to be normal to escape parents' plan for his life. It has heart. I've never even heard of this one.
I haven't either, but that sounds great.
Yeah, you instantly got me intrigued, right? Just with that description, John, you've got me completely intrigued with that. I've not heard of that one. My favorite subtitle movie of all time is still Life is Beautiful. Oh, God, that movie. So good. Italian film, by the way. All right, last one here. Last one before we got to let Rob go. Zach Bartran writes, watched Aquaman for the first time in a while, and I could be wrong, but I think the composer subtly put in some of Depeche Mode's It's No Good into the score for Black Manta, which is cool if true. Oh, dude, I have no idea.
I have to go back and listen because I'm a huge Depeche Mode fan, but I wouldn't put it past somebody to do something like that, especially if you're a fan. You know, people do that all the time. Artists pay homage to other artists.
Other artists?
But yeah, do you know there's a box set coming out, John, of everything Depeche Mode has ever done?
All
the B-sides, all the remixes. I looked at that and I'm just like, life is beautiful.
You know what? When I was a lot younger and I was really into my keyboards and my synthesizers and things like that, I played a lot of Depeche Mode. There's a lot of Depeche Mode that I tried mimicking. That was the day. That was the day. By the way, you know, it reminds me, Zach reminds me, I haven't seen Aquaman since it left theater.
Oh, really?
I saw it 3 times in theaters, and I haven't. I got to sit down and watch it again.
I have it on 4K.
Of course you do.
By the way, you know what comes out this week?
Something on 4K?
It's not 4K, but the box set from Arrow of American Werewolf in London, dude.
Ooh.
And I know you don't collect physical media, but this is something, maybe I'll get it for you for Christmas. It's something you need to own. The special features alone, unbelievable.
I don't even know if I have anything that could play. My PlayStation 4, I believe, plays
There you
Blu-ray.
go.
There you go. It's the PlayStation 4 Pro, so that does play 4K, right?
I do not know.
Well, I'll have to borrow it off you one way or the other.
PlayStation 5 will, though.
I'm sure it will. Okay, guys. Listen, we're going to keep on going here and keep answering more questions, but Rob's got other things he's got to run and do right now. Rob, you'll be back again tomorrow, but in the meantime, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, and my show, Robservations.
All right, Rob, thanks a lot for being here, dude. Always awesome to have you in, and we will see you tomorrow, sir. All right, let's keep on rolling here. Next up comes us from Min Tran, who writes, Colin Ford's, young Sam Winchester's new show, Daybreak, has a sword named Sam and is looking for a girl named Sam Dean. Have you seen it and thoughts? I'll be honest with you, Min, I've never even heard of the show. I've never even heard of it. Daybreak, never. The only Daybreak I know, isn't that an older Sylvester Stallone movie where he's like trapped underground, some underground road tunnels, and there's some flooding? That's the only Daybreak I know. So I've never even heard of this show. But that sounds, I mean, listen, if he was a young Sam Winchester, looking for a girl named Sandy, that sounds like an obvious homage. Again, I haven't seen the show to know the reference for sure, but it sounds like it would be. All right, Miguel Zayan writes, Hey, John, just saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's too bad Rob's gone. That's one of Rob's all-time favorite movies. For the first time, and wow, one of the best movies I've ever seen. Miss Ratchet, woo, cold as a Terminator. By the way, when we did, years ago, our March Movie Madness tournament, and we were doing villains one year, Ratchet came up. She was part of those discussions, like seriously. One of the big reasons why that movie is so celebrated is one of the most celebrated and talked about movies of all time. I'm glad you saw it, man. Eric writes, I think Iger's comments have been taken wrong by many people. I took it as Coogler put in the same amount of effort in making his movie as Copeland, I think you mean Coppola, did. Not the quality of the movies themselves. No, I really do think, I think he was very clearly, even Mike doing is, yeah, I said it. Well, nobody doubts that a lot of filmmakers put in every bit of effort that a Scorsese and a Coppola does. I'm sure many, many filmmakers put in the effort. But to say, yeah, I said it, I think he was very clear. And the reason he mentioned Black Panther is because it did get a Best Picture nomination at the Academy Awards. I disagree with you, Eric. Like, I wish he was saying that, because Black Panther is no Godfather. Black Panther is no Goodfellas. Black Panther does not measure up there and is not on the same level as the best Coppola or the best Scorsese. But I do believe that's what he was saying. I wish you were right. I wish I could agree with you, but I think his meaning was very clear. Because there's nothing staggering to say, we try every bit as hard as those guys do. Of course they do. Tons of filmmakers do. But by putting that little explanation on, yeah, I said it. I mean, I think he was clearly saying that he would put Black Panther up against Godfather. Not a good comparison. But I think that is what he was doing, Eric. I really do. All right, Coolsome XD writes, Linda Hamilton is so great. She stole the movie. Sarah Connor is one of the OG female badass heroines. She absolutely is. Dude, I still remember the first time I saw Terminator 2. And she's in the psych hospital working out. I'm like, holy crap. Look at Linda Hamilton. I was so happy. And I know a lot of people were so happy when we found out that she was coming back for this Terminator movie. It's I cannot wait to see it. I'm gonna go see it Thursday night. No Quizada writes, Suns beat the Clippers. Yay! Hey, listen, Suns are gonna win some games. Clippers are gonna lose some. But it's just one game out of, 83? How many? I can't even remember how many games. They have too many games. I can't remember how many games they have. But hey, yay for momentary victories. I like that. Orange Grove 55 writes, in regards to Rise of Skywalker, do you think Lucasfilm is possibly leaking fake info to throw people off? It's possible. I don't think that's what they're doing, but it's not outside of the realm of possibility. We've seen Disney-owned companies do that sort of thing before. So is it possible? Yes. Do I think that's what's happening? No, but it is a possibility. Ray Mooney writes, will you watch the Game of Thrones prequel? I will. I'll at least give it a shot. I'll watch the first couple episodes. If it wins me over, I'll watch the whole thing. If it doesn't win me over, then I'll ditch it, just like any show. But yeah, I am at least interested in seeing it. Matthew Melaragno writes, are you getting Disney Plus? Oh, absolutely. And I just found out I'm getting it for free because I'm a Verizon member. So a Verizon member gets the first year for free. So I'm getting it for free. Ray Mooney writes, will Jared Padalecki's arrest impact his upcoming projects? It shouldn't. He is one of my favorite actors. I was looking forward to the Walker, Texas Ranger remake. If it was something more egregious, like if he got caught dealing drugs to kids, or if it was like a domestic assault situation or something, though, that's something that could derail his career. And I don't know all the details. I don't, so I could be off on this. I could be way off on this. From what I heard, it's nothing like that. So no, I honestly don't think this sounds like anything's going to derail it, unless it comes out that there's something more serious involved. But I don't think anything's going to come out of it. Calvin Servo Panho writes, "Hey, Mr. Campea, hello. How does some shows like The Good Doctor don't have their first episode named pilot? Love your show." Well, I mean, look, that's just semantics. That's just semantics. You don't have to call it a pilot, but the first episode is the pilot. Now, traditionally again, it's semantics. Traditionally speaking, the pilot episode is the episode that the studios would then determine whether or not to bring it to full series. That's the pilot. But semantically speaking, we now just kind of know it as the first episode of a series we just call the pilot. Again, it all depends on how you like to work the semantics, but it's basically just semantics. All right, Warren Wright writes, RMB, where are we at? Keep the beard going, bro. Yeah, he and I were talking about his beard. I like his beard, dude. It's working for me. I think it's going to look good once he brings in a little bit more. Just don't go full David Letterman. Harry Mudd writes, I recommend Netflix Daybreak, a post-apocalyptic show with a twist. You're the second person today, Harry, to bring up Daybreak. I'd never even heard of the show. But then again, you just mentioned it's a Netflix show, so I'm not surprised that I haven't heard of it, because Netflix does a terrible job marketing their shows. Harry Mudd also writes, gonna watch Dolomite later tonight. Dude, I think you're gonna like it. Look, it's like most movies, it's not going to be for everybody. Like most movies, it's not going to be for everybody, but I really enjoyed it. I liked it more than I thought I would. I had a good time with it. All right, James Boner writes, finally got around to watching Do the Right. Oh, you haven't seen that yet? It probably is my favorite Spike Lee movie. Great movie, and talk about who's who of future stars. It is funny because when you go back there, it's like, oh my God, there's a young that and a young that and a young that. It's absolutely nuts. Still probably, I mean, Black Klansman comes close to being my all-time favorite Spike Lee film. But I think right now, Do the Right Thing still has to be that. I'm glad you had a chance to see it. Harry Mudd writes, beard coming along nicely, Rob. Hey, Chris. Of course, Chris isn't here right now, but yeah, that beard is coming along nicely. I envy that because I can't grow a beard. Gianni Hernandez writes, wow. 4 worldwide box office records shattered this year. Biggest G, Toy Story 4, PG Lion King, PG-13, Avengers Endgame, and R Joker. A great year for films of all ages. It really is. And we talked about that a little bit earlier in the segment. It is nutty. It is absolutely nutty, but what a year for a lot of those films. It's been great. Eli Wren just sends in a super chat to be supportive. Thank you, Eli. Appreciate that, man. TMO James writes, please give this glorious tune inspired by Jessica/Jonathan Yaniv a shout out. A parody of the song Hallelujah Smells Like Manure on Pork Sirloin's channel. Love you guys. I've never heard of any of that stuff, but I'm sure there are some people who have, and they got a kick out of the shutout. So thanks for sharing that, TMO. Doc-Ho11 and Days writes, wondering if we see Joker come back to theaters during the awards season to increase buzz, and if that brings enough viewership to bring it over 1 billion. Well, I doubt it. I mean, it's still in theaters now. If people still want to see it, if there are people still want to see it, they can just go see it right now. It's just too close. So I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think. But we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. Eli Wren writes, Brother, every time you say a movie won't be successful or won't reach certain numbers, the movie surpasses everything. That's not true. Actually, 90% of the time, I'm completely accurate on that. Actually, it's funny because Rob actually put together a list for me this one time of all the different predictions, and like 94% I was right. But there are some high-profile ones. Like, for instance, I said that Venom wouldn't get... I said Venom will be successful, but I didn't think it would get to 800 million, and it did. I knew Aquaman would be successful, but I never thought it would get to 800 million, let alone $1 billion, and it did. So there are a couple of high-profile ones, but we give predictions on about almost all the movies, and I've got a pretty high tracking. My numbers are actually pretty damn impressive. But there have been some pretty high-profile ones, particularly Aquaman, that I said it wouldn't even get to 800 million. Not even to 800 million. Blew by that. I mean, just right into... And I said, let alone $1 billion. No way it gets to $1 billion. No way! Aquaman gets to $1 billion. Not a chance in hell Aquaman gets $1 billion. And look what happened. It happens, but I mean... That's what happens when you're doing a show and you literally talk about hundreds of movies, and I'm giving like 30 or 40 different predictions every single episode. I'm going to get some wrong. I will continue to get some wrong, and it's the way it is. Let's see here. Goku's on DBZ writes, I have a simple question, John. Do you think that we might ever see a theatrical adaptation of the Canadian classic book series Anne of Green Gables? I don't know, because that... Yeah, there have been many television incarnations of Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables, which, by the way, is huge in Japan. It's so huge that in Prince Edward Island, the province in Canada where Anne of Green Gables takes place, when you go to Prince Edward Island, a lot of the areas of town have bilingual signs, English and Japanese, because there are so many Japanese tourists that come to see where Anne of Green Gables was at, right? So I don't know. It seems like it has always been destined for the television screen. So I'm going to guess no. But you see, whenever you say the word ever, the answer is usually yes. So ever? Yeah, 20 years from now, it could. You never know. Goku on DBZ writes, long live Darth Jar Jar, the true Sith Lord. I still remember when all that was coming out, when the Force Awakens was out. Matthew Gomez writes, remember the Robin theory in Batman versus Superman? Imagine if Joaquin Phoenix did that to him. That would get around the age issue. No, because we have a different Joker in that universe. Jared Leto and a very much younger Joker. So that creates a whole new set of problems. That actually doesn't get around the issue. It creates a whole new set of ones. Suthius writes, Mr. C, I'm with Chris and Mr. B, too little, too late. I disagree. What do you mean too little? It's not like he's been doing this for 6 years. This has only been around for a couple of weeks, and we have wanted him to tone it down and walk it back a bit and just be a little more classy about it, and he did. So what the fuck do we want? What do we want? But now we want to bitch and moan and complain about it. Listen, we've been bitching and moaning because, like, listen, Marty, this isn't classy. Tone this down, step it back a bit, reel it in a bit. And so he has. He's done exactly what we want him to do. But we are, listen, us online fans, and I include myself in this too, because I do this all the time. No throwing stones at glass houses here. I do this all the time myself. But we just want to bitch. We love being outraged. We love being outraged. So much so that even when the person we've been outraging against stops doing what they were doing to make us outraged and actually takes a step back from it and comes more in line with what we said we wish they had done, we still want to be outraged. Well, listen, he stepped it back. I say we cut Marty some slack here. Cut Marty some slack. I still disagree with him wholeheartedly what he was saying before. But listen, the guy doesn't like comic book movies. That's fine. He's allowed to not like comic book movies. I just say don't be a classless dick about it. And so he stepped it back and he's not being a classless dick anymore. So let's give credit where it's due and cut him some slack. All right. Michael Toon writes, I saw... Oh, Ford v Ferrari. Okay, guys, please don't use acronyms. So I had no idea what we were talking about there for a second. I saw Ford v Ferrari. I bet $10 it'll be your favorite movie this year. I hope so. I hope so. I mean, it's. I have been salivating for this movie ever since CinemaCon. I cannot wait. I know it's been playing at a few festivals along the way as well. Okay, where are we at here? Suthius writes, have you seen the latest episode of Black Lightning? No, I have not seen the latest episode. Here I'll save you some pain and suffering. His new suit, it's nanotech, and I had a feeling they'll go there. Oh, God. Nanotech! The magic of nanotech. I hate fucking nanotech. It's so stupid. Anyway, I'll have to wait and see it. But thank you for spoiling it for me, Suthius. Okay, Coolsome XD writes, do you think Bond's title, No Time to Die, is really Dr. No Time to Die, as in the title is really a hint that Dr. No is the villain? No. I mean, that's some creative thinking there. That's some creative rationalizing there. Because I hadn't even thought about that. I can see where you're going with that. I'm going to say no. No pun intended. I'm going to say no, but I see how you could come to that. I do. That's some creative thinking there. Sam Melhuish writes, I'm beyond excited for Tenet in 2020. In my opinion, Nolan is a top 5 filmmaker right now and hasn't made a film that isn't creative and incredible. Dark Knight Rises. I don't think it's all that creative and incredible. I like Dark Knight Rises, but it's the ugly little brother of Batman Begins and obviously The Dark Knight. But I like the movie still. But honestly, Nolan has never made a film that I haven't liked. Whether you're talking about Memento, or you're talking about Insomnia, or you're talking about Interstellar, or you're talking about Inception, or you're talking about The Prestige, obviously you're talking about his Batman film. I mean, he simply has just not made a movie I haven't liked. It's hard to argue against the notion that he is a top 5 filmmaker right now. I still don't put him in the top 5 filmmakers of all time yet, but he's got another 15, 20 years of directing in front of him. Let's have that conversation later. But I wouldn't disagree that he's a top 5 guy right now. I wouldn't disagree with that. And yeah, stupid excited for Tenet. Victor Watson writes, hey guys, hope all is well. Looking forward to Dr. Sleep and Midway and 1917. 1917 is one that's getting overlooked right now a little bit. And now it's still a little further away. We still got a little bit of a beat before that comes out. But that's one I've been quite intrigued with by the trailer. The trailers alone make that look really fascinating. Dr. Sleep, I'm going to see it on Wednesday. Very excited about that. And Midway, which is a movie I thought, really? Roland Emmerich doing like a World War? Oh, okay, yeah, that's going to be good. Then I saw the trailer. I'm like, damn, that actually looks like a lot of fun. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Jake Ayer writes, finished 2 episodes of Watchmen. Fantastic so far. I still haven't even watched episode 1. Now, every day when I'm done the show, the first thing I do is I edit the segments and I upload them, right? Then I go and do our John Campea Show post-show chat for our Patreon supporters. And then I go to have lunch. And as I eat lunch, I put on 1 episode of a show. Today, it's going to be Watchmen. So I'm going to finally start watching Watchmen today because, you know, we have the Weekly Hero, and we didn't talk about Watchmen last week because I haven't watched it yet. But I will watch it now. I'm going to get caught up. But thanks for giving me your input on that, Jake. All right. Victor Watson writes, I love Joker. It stands by itself, almost at 900 million, but I hope they just leave this one be its own thing. No Joker, please. No Joker 2, please. I agree. No Joker 2. Just leave this one alone. Look, I'm not going to complain if they decide to do a sequel. I get it. When a movie makes that much money, you got to at least consider the possibility. I understand that. That's business. I get it. But my heart of hearts just wants them to leave it alone. Like, move on. You did something amazing. Now do something else amazing. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. Jake Iyer writes, PS4 doesn't play 4K. Only console that does is X. Are you sure? Does the PS4 Pro not play? I thought I heard the PS4 Pro does. I could be wrong about that, but we'll have to wait and see. But thanks for the info anyway. James Ward writes, what's your overall thoughts on Linklater film? I like him a lot. He did a film that, by the way, very few people talk about that is actually one of my favorites he's ever done. And it's called Me and Orson Welles, that he did with Claire Danes and Zac Efron. It's actually the movie that to me went, oh my God, this High School Musical kid, Zac Efron, he's actually got real legit acting chops. Like, not just decent, I mean real, legit. It's the movie that made me a fan of Zac Efron. And obviously, I haven't loved all the movies Zac Efron has done. But it's called Me and Orson Welles, brilliantly directed, and some great performances. Just so you know up in advance, not everybody loves that movie. I love it, and it's one of my favorites. It's the one most people, the one of his that most people haven't seen. I highly recommend checking that one out. All right, Daniel Hinojoa writes, True Disney Plus not available for Amazon Fire Stick. Is that? I can't imagine that. Really? I've not heard that. Now, I don't have Amazon Fire Sticks. I use Roku. That's what I've used almost my whole streaming life. I've just used Rokus. I've been through every version of them, and I've used Apple TVs now and again, but Roku is what I usually go back to. I have a hard time believing that it wouldn't be on the Amazon Fire Stick. Now, the only reason I could possibly see that is because Disney Plus is a direct competitor to Amazon Prime, but it's going to be on Apple Plus. It's going to be on the Apple TV devices, and that's a direct competitor to Apple TV Plus. So I haven't heard that, but it is a possibility. So we'll keep our eyes open. Sunny Claire writes, Rob's beard coming in nicely. It really is. Hint that we're actually getting that Fun and Wonder movie next November. Maybe. And I will also be participating in No Shave November, raising awareness for cancer research. I will be doing it this year, except you're all going to laugh at me because we're going to get 3 weeks in, and I'm going to look like I maybe have a little bit of 6 o'clock shadow, maybe a little bit of 6 o'clock shadow. I grow the facial hair of a 4-year-old boy. I really do. It's embarrassing. It's hard to believe I'm Italian with how sporadically and oddly I grow body hair. It's really kind of weird. Let's see here. Where are we at? Harry Mudd writes, I would love to see someone take Joker's dance on the steps and put it to Singing in the Rain. Oh, dude, I bet right now, if you went and searched for it, I bet somebody's done it. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I bet somebody somewhere has done it at some point. Suthias writes, finally saw the new Lion King. It's great. I don't understand some criticism against this version. This version's Be Prepared. I thought the Be Prepared was great. I don't think the original would have worked. I completely agree. Now, not everybody did, and that's fine. I loved the new version of Lion King. Not as good as the 94 original masterpiece, but I thought it was incredible. And yes, I thought this version of Be Prepared was great, especially given the different visual style. I agree with you, Suthius. I do not think the original rendition of Be Prepared in the original 94 masterpiece would have fit as well in this visual style. I thought this worked much better for this film. Now, listen, it ain't perfect. Like the new Beyonce song, I did not think worked at all. Like not even in the least. And there are a few little things here and there. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad you did too. But not everybody does, and that's fine. Lone Wolf X6 writes, Supernatural latest episode is a gut punch, John. I haven't seen the latest episode. Unless the latest episode is the one with Rowena. If you're talking about the one that comes after the one with Rowena, then I haven't seen it yet. So I will go and take a look to see if that's on my CW app now or not. But we'll find that out. Okay. That would do it for us today, guys. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Listen, guys, don't forget. And also you guys know this too. So last Thursday, we ran out of time to get to all the live questions. Friday, I got busy, and I couldn't do the companion video that day. Sorry, Thursday, I got busy, couldn't do the companion video that day. And then it was Friday that I started having problems with Wirecast, and I had been fighting with Wirecast all weekend. So I haven't had a chance to do the companion video for this past Thursday show. I will get that companion video done today. So my apologies for the lateness of that companion video coming. That's on me. I couldn't get my Wirecast thing to work, but I will get that made up here today. Again, for those of you who are Patreon supporters, thank you so much for being Patreon supporters. But don't forget, 15 minutes after we're done this show, I'm going to be jumping over onto the Discord server where we can have our post-show chat. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys there. And don't forget, the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow. Robert Meyer Burnett will be in here. Erin Cummings can't make it in tomorrow. She'll be in Wednesday, so Chris Carr is going to come in and fill in for Chris tomorrow. And don't forget, guys, next week, it starts. 2 brand new shows. We've got our new Star Wars show called Dark Side, Light Side, which will not be on this YouTube channel. It'll be over on Christian Harloff's Schmodown Entertainment channel. Me and Christian have a new Star Wars show. It's called Dark Side, Light Side. Starts November 5th. So make sure you come and join us for that. And then on November 7th on this channel, we've got the new Campea and Harloff show. That's going to be starting next week. And of course, we've started up Weekly Hero again. So this Wednesday afternoon, keep your eyes open. Come and join us for this new episode of the Weekly Hero. All right, guys, that will do it for me for now. Thank you so much for being here. My name is John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.